All right. So this is Justin, and I'm
Riyaz.
Hey guys. So we're going to review the lean canvas that I started making for Bounce, and Riyaz has quite a bit of experience of going on and building these and then making them better. So he's going to help kind of refine what we're doing now. So yeah, Riyaz, we were just talking about the unique value proposition that we have here, which is makes being on time easy, and then talking about ways that we might be able to improve that.
Right. So what we want to do is to find the customer segments and what the unique value proposition, which is more crisp or more direct to them, because makes being easy on time is a very broad value proposition that we talk about. And one, as part of a customer development process, is to go and talk to customers and try to pitch the unique value proposition, or try to tease out the unique value proposition while talking to them to see if they would be willing to pay for that value proposition. So if you ask, for example, any of our customer segments that you see up there, would you like to be on time? Everybody will say yes, but they would not be able to articulate the value of being on time unless you really give them the value proposition they need. In addition, what it does is allows us to build up a particular idea on what feature set we want to build in a product and for what segment. So we might have 10 different segments as we have right now. We might realize that the willingness to pay by certain segments is better than the others, and so we might build some feature sets based on their value proposition.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so with that in mind, what would that look like for, how do we turn something like makes being on time easy into something more tangible for like a business traveler?
Right. So for a business traveler, being on time can be for two different reasons. Right. One is to get to customer meetings on time, so they want to get to a particular meeting on time, and then the other is to maybe travel at a flight or get to a certain destination on time. And so they are a little bit different. If you talk to business travelers, it can be, hey, I usually cannot keep tabs on my flight time, and so I need something that gives me an indication on when my flight times are and how much would it be from me to get from one place to the other. And so for that particular reason, you want to really target and talk to people who fly a lot, right? For that, those people will be, I would pay $1 a trip, because now you're telling me exactly what time do I need to leave, so I don't hang out or bum around at the airport for extra an hour because I didn't judge the time that I got to. Now, it could be possible that the willingness to pay for them might not be as high as a business traveler that has to go and meet a customer. And the meeting to the customer is really, really important because he or she has worked on it for days to get that meeting. And so their willingness to pay will be very, very different than for the frequent traveler that pays for being on time on flight, right?
Interesting.
So, so you can see how a business traveler can be teased out even further.
Yeah, and we might even come up with another segment here, right? This is people going to the airport, right? Like that's
exactly.
Families might also pay for that as well. So I'm just going to toss these things in here. We can worry about it later. Okay, so people going to the airport. Okay, so and so is this kind of the phrasing that I've got right here? So get to a meeting with a customer that.
Right.
So how would we phrase that as a unique value proposition?
Well, so the value proposition you would be able to say is Bounce helps you gauge the time it would take for you to get to your customer and a meeting on time, saving you the embarrassment as well as the meeting that you've already scheduled and missing the meeting, right?
Yeah.
And so when you go and talk to a customer and say, have you ever missed a meeting with a customer because you didn't realize how long it would take for you to get from here to there based on traffic or other conditions? And if they say yes, and what were the consequences? And what would you pay me if I said those consequences could be avoided by a certain app, right? And so that's how we would phrase the value proposition. Whereas for a business traveler, where the getting to a flight on time is how much would you pay to get or not pay for the delayed flight, or the headache of being delayed for a flight, right?
Okay, so right now what I've written out is how much would you pay to never be late to a customer meeting?
Right.
Okay, so and then there's some other things we can think about here. Like I'm thinking about like the relationships with customers. So how much is it worth to to keep your to not damage your relationship that you have with your customer?
Right. And I think those are notes to capture. Given the real estate that is over here, which we're limited, you might just want to capture get to customer meeting on time, and that's a value proposition that you highlight and use the coloring mechanism to say this is for business travelers or business. What do you mean by business travelers? So color them the same. So when you go back and look at different iterations of the canvas in the future, you can say, I looked at this value proposition for this segment, and then decide if you wanted to keep it or get rid of it.
Gotcha. Right? Nice. Okay. Now I don't know. Does this thing have colors? Do you know?
I don't know if this one particularly has colors or not. I know the app that they have on the iPad, the default generation, has colors.
Gotcha. Okay.
But you might want to start by putting numbers on the side, say or some other indication.
Okay, good call. All right, so very good. So I'm going to get rid of this here. Okay, great. So let me give this a shot for busy parents and see if I've got the hang of this now. Oops.
Sure.
So busy parents, I can imagine, I'm imagining like a soccer mom who's got to go between ballet and soccer practice and pick up kids here and there, and she's got to run to the grocery store in between, and then all of a sudden she forgets that she was supposed to pick up her littlest one from daycare.
Right.
So the unique value proposition, this would be something like oh, come on, baby. Don't forget your kids.
Yeah, and that's a good one to test, right? I mean, if you ask the parents, it's like, have you forgotten to pick up your kids or been late? And if you find out that most parents don't have a problem, then you know that you're just trying to solve a problem which really doesn't exist.
Right. Okay. I guess the other thing is like, do they care about be seen as a good parent? So by that I mean, if you have a little one in preschool, the little one may not know if you're late, but the people taking care of your kid, like maybe you want them to think that you're a good parent, so you're there on time all the time. Or same thing goes with soccer practice. So how important is it to you to be seen, or on time? Right.
And so that's a perfect thing to ask, and when you develop the value proposition, it's a good thing to talk about it. Over here, I think you want to capture the overall thing. The value proposition is for you to get to your kids on time, right? That's the key value proposition, and everything else falls out of it, right? Okay. Now, the other might be the value proposition might be get your kids to a certain place in time, right? That's the second value proposition. Like, you might not forget your kids or pick up your kids, but you might be running late to their soccer practice or their drama practice or whatever. And how much is that of a problem? Because you get caught up in the activities that your kids are doing that you don't realize that you have to take them somewhere and get delayed, right?
Right.
So that is a better value proposition to test, and it might be possible, or it might come out that the parents don't forget about the kids because the kids are on top of their mind, but they do forget about the appointments that the kids have to keep. And then an idea could develop later where in Bounce you might say, you know what, we have a calendar built in that just revolves around your kids. So you have multiple calendars. So it thinks it's a Google Calendar where you maintain a calendar for child, and it thinks and tells you the reminders for child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you see where the process rolls out itself, where you can tease out more questions from parents, and at the same time, you can build your product as you go along by either validating the hypothesis or guesswork that you have, or canceling them out and saying this is not the route we want to go down, right?
Yeah, I buy it. Okay, that's great. Okay, let's just do any on here that you thought were particularly difficult or hard to do that we should talk about. Like,
So I think the delivery businesses, caterers and florists, I think they fall into your number one. They're just a different kind of businesses.
yep.
So you might want to keep them as the people you go interview, but they all fall into the first segment. And when you interview them, you might find out that there's one particular vertical in that segment that cares for it more than the other, which is fair. But at this point, in the first iteration, it's good to just capture the Uber and then keep getting focused as you go talk to more people.
Interesting. Okay, so for this one, for this category in particular, I actually had a different take on this. I was thinking about the delivery businesses as people who might buy the application for their employees. So you know, this is someone like, hey, you know, you have delivery people for your flowers, and you need to deliver them by noon and 1 and whatever. Would you buy this for your employees, or are your employees late, or do you have concerns about your employees' tardiness?
So then I think that's a great take. I did not catch it that way. So it might be very explicit to call out saying delivery businesses buying it for their employees, right? And then you know exactly who to go talk to then.
Employees are on time. So the value proposition is that we can make sure your employees are on time, and then we can also, that might lead into conversations like, yeah, I want to actually track how often my employees get to their locations on time, and I want stats on who's the most, on time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is a valid business model around it. There are business companies that have done this for FedEx and UPS, right?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. Terrific. All right, my man. Well, I think I kind of get the gist. What I'm going to do is kind of go through the rest of these myself, and then I'm going to post these up on the blogs and on the blog, and we can let you and anybody else kind of chime in and get everyone's opinion on them.
Sounds good. And then if you have the second iteration, happy to go over it as well.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Riyaz. Have a good one.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.